Welcome to the Robert C. Williams Museum of Papermaking's Paper Play activity. Today we will be making origami chopstick rests that are a kumbo knot. These knots are traditionally made from seaweed and are famous for being eaten during the New Year's celebration in Japan. They represent both love and good fortune. To make a pair of kumbo knot chopstick rests, you need just one sheet of origami paper. This is just standard pattern double-sided origami paper, and you can also use Chiagami origami paper. Chiagami paper is a silkscreen printed Japanese paper, and these patterns are repetitive and often elaborate. The paper is a little bit thicker, but it's made from likely a kozo fiber, which makes it more flexible, and it has a little bit more give when we're bending and tying the knot. Though it makes it a little bit more difficult to tuck the ends of the knot at the end because the paper is a little bit thicker. But it's a beautiful option as well to really give a lovely pattern to those knots. I'm going to start by folding my paper in half to split it into two. I'm going to reinforce that fold with my bone folder, which is made of Tyvek. I'm now going to split the sheet of paper into two, one for each knot. You can either cut the paper along the fold line with scissors or an X-Acto knife and cutting mat, or if you folded it really well, you can also tear it along that fold line. Once you've separated your paper into two halves, you can set one to the side, and we'll just start with one for our first chopstick rest. I'm going to turn the decorative side that I want to be on the outside face down and fold it in half. I'm going to come back and fold it in half again. But when I fold it in half, I want to fold it to just below my previous half crease so that there's a little tiny gap. This will make a later step a little bit easier if you give yourself just a hair. You barely want to be below that line. And then I'm going to fold in half one more time. Repeat on the other side. Again, folding to just below that line. This is where having that little bit of gap is helpful, because we are now going to fold from the inside folds here in half one last time. And if the gap is too tight here, if there's no space and they completely meet each other or overlap, it can cause the paper to tear and split if you're using just the standard thin origami paper. If you're using Chiagami paper, it will be all right. You can fold to the line. Now I'm going to kind of pre-curl my paper to give it a little bit more of a bend. And then when I go to tie my knot, you can either tie the knot with the left side or the right side on top. I've seen examples of these knots done both ways. You just want to make sure you're tying it the same direction for both of your knots so that the knots match. Once I've got it overlapped, the side that I'm going to tuck under, I'm going to pull a little bit longer just to make it easier later. And then I'm going to manually kind of manipulate the knot and pull each side to evenly get the knot in the middle. You may have to hand curl the paper of the knot a little bit to make it do this. If your knot is not in the center, the bow-like sides will not be even. All right, once you get your knot nice and tight, you're ready to tuck the sides. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to kind of put my finger underneath and wrap it around and tuck just under the knotted area. Just get each corner in. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. I don't want to fold them or else I'll completely flatten the kind of curl of that knot. Once I've finished one, I can come back and complete the second one. Now, if you want these to last and be for more than just a one-time use, I recommend coating them with something like Mod Podge, which will give them a waterproof coating. And there is my pair of Kumbo knots that I can use for chopstick rests.